Sometimes the chaotic nature of the NFL postseason inspires to keep legendary paths from crossing, rendering rare moments where they finally collide, like the 2020 NFC Championship, all the more historic. Leading up to this moment, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, two of the defining quarterbacks of their generation, had dominated the league for nearly 2 decades, yet they had never crossed paths once in the postseason. It was a clash of two diametrically opposed philosophies. In one corner, Tom Brady, the winning formula incarnate. In his first season with Tampa Bay, the 43-year-old castoff was rewriting the script on what a veteran could achieve, posting 46-33 passing yards and 40 touchdowns. Brady's game was never about the pursuit of perfect stats. It was a systematic, calculated approach to situational football that had already brought him to 9 Super Bowls. In the other corner, you got Aaron Rodgers, the individual virtuoso. Often tasked with carrying his team's suboptimal defense, Rodgers entered this matchup with his lone Super Bowl win moving farther and farther into the rearview mirror as time went on. Despite this, the presumptive league MVP was coming off a staggering 2020 season where he threw for damn near 4,300 yards and a league-leading 48 touchdowns against just 5 interceptions, boasting a passer rating of 121.5. The two-time MVP style was the apex of individual efficiency, a surgical high-velocity attack that favored precision and explosive plays while still avoiding disastrous turnovers. For one afternoon at Lambeau Field, the league's most efficient passer met the man who defined playoff success. The stage was set, the stakes were absolute, and for the only time in their storied careers, the GOAT and the bad man were finally on a collision course to decide who would represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Brady and the Bucs received to start the game. The GOAT would have to make a key throw on 3rd and 4, tossing it up and over the shoulder of Mike Evans on the slot fade for a huge chunk that got them knocking on the door of Green Bay immediately. Another few plays and another 3rd down saw him finding Chris Godwin on the out route past the sticks for another conversion, where once again on 3rd and long. Wait, is that holding? Okay, whatever. He lofted one to Mike Evans in the corner with Kevin King in coverage. Oh no. That was this game? Anyways, the Buccaneers scored on their opening drive, while Green Bay weren't able to put together much, ending their opening drive with Rodgers getting pulled down by Shaq Barrett and punting back to the Bucs. Brady and the offense found themselves on a daunting 3rd and 14 on the next drive, but not to fear, they'd perfectly set up a screen for Godwin, who'd show off the elusiveness and find a lane through the sea of bodies to get them a first near midfield, where Green Bay'd get home to Brady on 3rd and 10 with Kenny Clark bulldozing him from the interior. The Packers started deep in their own side following the punt. Rodgers led a masterful drive, rolling right and putting one right on the money on 3rd and 15 to get them out of there. Before they'd methodically work their way down to midfield, where he'd fire a shot down the sideline to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and the long strider'd shrug off Carlton Davis and tie things back up at 7-7. The fireworks didn't end there though, as once again on a key 3rd and long, Brady'd huck up a YOLO ball against Green Bay's single high defense, and Godwin to outlocate Darnell Savage, coming down with the tough ball. The very next play, Fournette took the handoff and cut back against the grain, spinning through a poor attempt by Amos, and barreling through the rest of the Packers for another touchdown to put the Buccaneers back on top in no time. The Pack showed off a balanced attack on their next drive, starting with an immediate strike to MVS and a nice mix of runs by both of their backs, Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, who worked their way deep into the red zone, but they weren't able to finish, with Rodgers looking for and maybe trying to force the ball to Devontae Adams 3 straight times unsuccessfully. They'd have to settle for the game's first field goal, cutting into Tampa's lead 14-10. Tampa was able to sneak their way to midfield on their next drive, but Green Bay took away all the underneath throws that Brady wanted on the following 3 plays, and they'd have to punt it for the first time that day just outside the 2-minute warning. Lazard uncovered for Rodgers over the middle on 3rd and long, getting them a sizable chunk play with a little more room to run after, but Jason Pierre-Paul would get 7.5 fingers on Rodgers, knocking him down for an 8-yard loss. And on 2nd and 18, Sean Murphy Bunting would get the inside track on Lazard, coming away with Rodgers' pass, probably going uncalled for a hold, but I guess they're letting the guys play. Surely this is a precedent being set that they won't flip-flop over the course of the game. Green Bay looked like they'd forced Tampa to punt following a Brady heave for his tight end Brate down the sideline that fell incomplete on 3rd, but Bruce Arians, deciding he had an enormous sack, decided to go for it, and Brady'd find Fournette underneath and he'd pick up just what they needed for the clutch first. Next play, Brady'd go for it all, tossing it up to the hard-working, scrappy deep threat, Scotty Miller, who'd blow by guess who? Yeah, it was Kevin King again. Hauling it in, in the end zone from his knees to end the half with a sucker punch that left Green Bay stunned. Starting off with the ball in the second half, the Packers needed to find answers fast, and well, they didn't. Rodgers stood in a collapsing pocket on third down, tossing it underneath to his back Jones, but Jordan Whitehead smoked him, knocking the ball loose, and Devin White scooped it up with an entourage, taking it inside the 10 before they'd wrestle him down. Disaster. The Bucs instantly capitalized, allowing Cameron Brate to sneak out with Adrian Amos handing him off to nobody, and Brady'd get it to him with ease to put them up a whopping 28-10. Rodgers and the Green Bay offense finally locked in, with Rodgers making a couple key throws to get them moving into Tampa territory, where he'd pull the rabbit out of the hat, making a little magic happen off a scramble and throw to Lazard before standing in and patiently delivering to Robert Tonyan over the middle of the end zone to score to cut Tampa's lead down to 11 for now. This is when something strange happened. Brady just started getting a little careless with the ball, something you'll almost never see watching his tape. It started with a heave down the sideline looking for Evans, but he was double covered, and Amos would come down with the interception. Rodgers and the offense pulled together a hell of a long drive, but they clinically ground out first down after first down. Rodgers passed the rock around to everybody, efficiently distributing until they found themselves in the red zone, where a headshot to Devontae Adams by Carlton Davis moved the pack right to Tampa's doorstep. Adams was able to get some revenge on Davis, attacking inside and catching the touchdown pass to get themselves back into the game. On the two-point conversion, Equanimous St. Brown crucially dropped the ball, so the score would stay 28-23 for now. Brady and the Bucs worked deep into Packer territory off some nice throws by Brady. He was still trying to give Green Bay every chance they could to come back. On 2nd and 11 from the 28, with plenty of time in the pocket, Brady fired over the middle a hair too high, even for Mike Evans, off the fingertips, and to Jair Alexander, who'd get it back for Rodgers and the offense near their 20. They'd choke away their prime opportunity, instantly going 3 and out with Shaq Barrett fighting through a brutal hold and sacking Rodgers on third down, and the GOAT's big mistake would go unpunished. Well, I shit you not. Brady was still in reckless mode. A few plays later, on 3rd and 2, they'd get pressure on Brady with a safety blitz, and he'd just huck up a prayer, severely underthrowing Mike Evans and once again finding the hands Jair Alexander for his 3rd pick of the day. Once again, another impotent possession from Green Bay would rear its ugly head. As unblocked Shaq Barrett sacked Rodgers, MVS would get mugged down the sideline on a go ball, and on 3rd down, the well-placed pass would get dropped by Lazard. Once again, Brady's turnover came at no cost to the Bucs. They dinked and dunked their way into field goal range, where Green Bay's defense took away the screen for Chris Godwin on 3rd and long, and Tampa take the 3 points with Suckup booting it through, going up 8 points with a little over 4.5 minutes left to go, and it felt like it was now or never for the Packers. Rodgers made a big-time throw to MVS on the deep crosser to instantly get them into field goal range before finding Adams wide open on the slant, get inside the 20. He'd go right back to him on a quick out to get them knocking on the door inside the 10, and I don't know if what happened next was a play calling issue or what, but Tampa's defense clamped everybody in the end zone 3 plays in a row. I mean, Rodgers just had nowhere to go with the ball on any of these 3 attempts, and Matt LaFleur decided to kick the ball here, even though his quarterback is Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers at the height of his powers. I mean, in hindsight, Brady had just thrown 3 interceptions in the half, but I think calling 3 passing plays in a row, all targeting the end zone here, is just a little bit foolish. Like, if Green Bay got 4 or 5 yards beforehand, they'd have a decent chance at just going for it here inside the 5, but they just decided to abandon the run game here, and I think it backfired big time. They cut the lead down to 5, and now it was in the hands of their shaky defense. Oh, and they started off by getting an encroachment call against them. Well, surely they're going to lock in here in this big moment. And, oh, on 3rd down, Kevin King struck again, grabbing Tyler Johnson's shirt, and he'd sell the call well. After letting the guys play all day, they'd suddenly switch up and get ticky-tacky in the biggest moment of the whole game. And with that, the Bucs would get 1 more first down to put the dagger into the pack on their home soil, and Tom Brady would be headed to his 10th Super Bowl appearance, where the legend would only grow. While Rodgers once again found himself skadooshed after coming so close to glory for the 2nd time in 2 years.